Chapter 1785. Now there might be some young sky prides who were much stronger than Lu Ming. But 20 years later, Lu Ming was confident that he would not be weaker than any of his peers. If he did not even have this confidence, how could he reach the peak? This was the same as the son of death. Any peerless sky prides would be confident in themselves, confident that they could suppress everyone. All right, I hope you can suppress all of them, the white-robed old man said. Senior, is there anything else? Lu Ming looked at the white-robed old man again. Of course, the white-robed old man smiled, and a jade tablet appeared in his hand. He said, "Here is a list of all the inheritors of the Hunyuan sect. Since ancient times, there have been quite a number of them. These people are the bronze inheritors and the silver inheritors. They have all sworn an oath to obey the orders of the inheritors of higher levels. Take a look." The white-robed old man handed the jade token to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and used his spiritual consciousness to check it. He immediately saw more than 200 names. Senior, over the years, only 200 people have become inheritors? Lu Ming was surprised. This time there were 7 of them. Do you think it's easy to become an inheritor? The reason why there are so many of you this time is because we're in a golden age where sky prides gather. That's why there are 7 inheritors at once. In the past, there might not be an inheritor for many years. The white-robed old man said. But let me tell you, some of these people died in battle before they grew up. Some of them became peerless experts and created terrifying forces. Many of them have even become emperors. But the stronger your cultivation, the stronger your ability to resist the oath. If you go to them now, those powerful existences might not listen to you. They might even kill you. You'd better know it. The white-robed old man warned. Are you serious? Lu Ming was speechless. Those who did not listen to him. What was the use of being strong? This list was equivalent to not having them. It was equivalent to not having them. Of course, we can't rule out the possibility that some of them are loyal to Hunyuan sect and will listen to the higher-level inheritors. You have to know this yourself. The white-robed old man said again. Lu Ming was so depressed that he was about to vomit blood. He suddenly felt that this white-robed elder was really asking for a beating. Grasp. How could he grasp it? How would he know who was loyal to the Hunyuan sect? If he rashly ran over and said that he was the gold inheritor of the Hunyuan sect, he would probably be slapped to death by those powerful existences. The longer the time, the weaker the binding power of the oath. The stronger the cultivation base, the weaker the binding power of the oath. Some peerless experts had the power to destroy the heavens and earth. They were even above the oath, and any oath would be useless. Lu Ming's spiritual sense suddenly swept over a name. Sakura. Surname D. What did it have to do with the D family? Senior, who is this D Shirtian? Do you have any news about him? Lu Ming asked. I'm not very clear about the current situation of the people above, but this Sakura is definitely still alive. Moreover, his cultivation is very profound. You have a gold inheritance token. In the future, if you go near a low-grade inheritance token, you will be able to sense it. The white-robed old man said. Lu Ming nodded. If this D Shirtian was really an expert of the D family, would he listen to his orders? It was probably very mysterious. Senior, this list is not very useful. Do you have any other rewards for me? Lu Ming continued to look at the white-robed old man. Your cultivation base is still low. Some powerful inheritances can only be cultivated after reaching the emperor level. The white-robed old man said helplessly. No way. Is there any divine ability related to the law of array Dao? Lu Ming asked. His law of array Dao could not exert its power without the help of divine abilities. Law of array Dao? I have one of the 9 scrolls of array Dao, the sealing scroll. Here you are. The white-robed old man thought for a moment, and a jade token appeared in his hand. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He quickly took it and scanned it with his spiritual sense. Immediately, he saw a pile of wonderful contents. The 9 scrolls of array Dao is the highest technique for cultivating the law of array Dao. It was created by a powerful existence. However, I only have one of the 9 scrolls here. You will have to find the rest yourself. The white-robed old man said. What a pity. Lu Ming sighed in his heart and kept it. He looked at the white-robed old man and said, Senior, Do you have any other rewards? Like a secret technique or something? The white-robed old man's eyelids twitched. This kid is too greedy. I have a secret technique here called the divine breathing technique. It can change and conceal one's aura. With your current cultivation base, even an ordinary lesser emperor won't be able to tell if you practice the divine breathing technique without careful observation. After the white-robed old man finished speaking, another jade token appeared in his hand. You can even fool a minor emperor expert? Is it more powerful than the illusion breathing technique? Lu Ming was surprised and then overjoyed. Illusion breathing technique? That's just a simplified version of the divine breathing technique. The white-robed old man said, "Thank you, senior." Lu Ming received it happily. "All right, I'll send you off to meet the others." As if afraid that Lu Ming would ask again, the white-robed old man did not give Lu Ming a chance to speak. He waved his hand and brought Lu Ming away. In the next moment, Lu Ming appeared in another hall. This hall was where Long Chun, Huang Ling, and the others were. As soon as Lu Ming appeared, the six of them looked over at the same time. Lu Ming. Seeing Lu Ming, Huang Ling was overjoyed and quickly walked over. Haha, we shouldn't call him by his name now. We should call him young sect leader. Long Chun laughed. Lu Ming was a gold inheritor and would inherit the position of Hunyuan sect leader in the future. They should call him young sect leader. Long Chun and Huang Ling were friends. There's no need to be so formal. Just like before. Lu Ming said with a smile. Long Chun and Huang Ling smiled and nodded. They knew Lu Ming's character very well. Luo Tianyi greets the young sect leader. A peerless lady walked over with graceful steps and bowed to Lu Ming. Miss, please rise. There's no need to be so formal. Lu Ming quickly said. Then, Lu Ming looked at the other three people. The deaf son and the two young men wore unpleasant looks on their faces. They really could not bring themselves to bow to Lu Ming. Each of their cultivation was higher than Lu Ming. In their hearts they could not cross that hurdle. I know you're not convinced and even look down on me. It's okay. If it's not necessary, I won't order you around. Similarly, 20 years later, I'll give you a chance to challenge me. If you can defeat me, I'll respect him as the young sect leader. Lu Ming said, 20 years later, you won't be my opponent. The gold inheritor position is destined to be mine. The deaf son said domineeringly, I'll wait for you to challenge me, but in these 20 years, I'll be the young sect leader. Lu Ming said. The deaf son's face changed. Finally his eyes were firm. He clasped his fist and said, Young sect leader. Having said that, he stepped aside. Chapter 1786. All right, you've all met and gotten to know each other. I hope you can help each other in the future. Let me tell you, the final battle will come soon. At that time, you'll need to fight the enemy together. Now I'll send you back. The old man in the white robe said. Then, he waved his hand and beams of light enveloped Lu Ming and the others. Then he felt dizzy. After some time, Lu Ming found that he had returned to the side courtyard of the Phoenix Palace. Long Chun, Huang Ling, and of course Bubbles were with him. Lu Ming, brother. Bubbles saw Lu Ming and pounced over, hanging on Lu Ming's shoulder. Bubbles, your cultivation has reached the Supreme Sage realm. Lu Ming looked and found that Bubbles' aura was extremely strong. He had reached the Supreme Sage realm. Yes, the old man sent me to a place, and I had a strange breakthrough. There's also something extra in my head. Chirp chirp. Bubbles said in a childish voice. It must be related to the inheritance of the space-time spirit mouse. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and he was happy for Bubbles. Lu Ming, Huang Ling, my cultivation has reached the limit of the Bright Sage realm. I feel that I'll break through soon. I'll go back to the Divine Elephant sect to cultivate in seclusion. Long Chun said. All right, I wish you a smooth breakthrough. Lu Ming said. Long Chun nodded, and then stepped into the air and left. Lu Ming, I'm about to break through too. I'm afraid I'll have to go into seclusion too. Huang Ling said. Great. I'll also need to go into seclusion for a while. Lu Ming nodded. He had obtained one of the 9 array formation scroll, the sealing scroll, and the divine breath technique. He needed to cultivate both. At that moment, there was a sound of something breaking through the air. A figure stepped into the air. It was Mu Qingxue. Lu Ming, Huang Ling, you finally appeared. Where have you been for the past few months? I looked for you everywhere but couldn't find you. I thought something had happened to you. As soon as Mu Qingxue arrived, she started to complain. Qingxue, how did you know that we're back so soon? Huang Ling asked curiously. I was nearby. I saw Long Chen come out from here. I guess that you're back too. Mu Qingxue said. Qingxue, I'm sorry. It happened so suddenly that we didn't inform you when we participated in the Hunyuan sex assessment. Huang Ling didn't hide the truth from Mu Qingxue. You've participated in the Hunyuan sex assessment? Mu Qingxue nodded in realization. Lu Ming nodded and asked. Lu Ming was stunned. He remembered that it had been more than half a year since he went to the Hunyuan sect for the assessment. Perhaps the 2 months he spent in the tribe for the last assessment was just an illusion. It was not real. Perhaps it was just an instant. Lu Ming guessed in his heart. By the way, some of the geniuses who went to the Celestial City have returned. Not long ago, a genius from the Wan family came and said that he wanted to challenge Lu Ming. In the end, we blocked him and sent him back. Thereafter, the people from the Wan family spread rumors everywhere, saying that Lu Ming didn't dare to fight when he encountered a stronger opponent and was a coward. Mu Qingxue said. The Wan family again. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold light. They're just a bunch of clowns. There's no need to care about them. Then they chatted for a while. Huang Ling and Mu Qingxue left. Lu Ming returned to his room and entered the mountain river diagram to begin his seclusion. First, he had to cultivate the divine breath technique. Lu Ming took out the jade token for the divine breath technique and studied it carefully. Then he began to cultivate it. Lu Ming had cultivated the illusory breath technique before. Although the divine breath technique was magical, it couldn't stump Lu Ming. In just 3 days, Lu Ming succeeded in cultivating it. Then, Lu Ming took out one of the 9 scrolls of Array Dao, the sealing scroll, and studied it carefully. It's so magical. After a long time, Lu Ming sighed. The sealing scroll could unleash the magical power of Array Dao to form a sealing technique. If cultivated to the highest level, it could even seal the heavens and earth and suppress everything. This was created by a terrifying existence, and its mysteries were boundless. This is only one of the 9 scrolls of Array Dao. I wonder how magical the other 8 scrolls are. Lu Ming was really looking forward to it. In the following days, Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the Enlightenment ancient tree and focused on comprehending the Dao and cultivating the sealing technique. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. At this time, Lu Ming ended his cultivation because he sensed movement outside. Before he entered the mountain river diagram, he had set up a sensing array in the courtyard. As long as someone came to look for him, he would sense it. With a thought, Lu Ming came out of the mountain river diagram. When he walked out of the room, he saw Huang Ling. Huang Ling, congratulations on breaking through to the Supreme Sage realm. Lu Ming looked around and found that Huang Ling's aura was several times stronger than before. It was obvious that her cultivation had broken through. You're about to break through too. Huang Ling smiled and said. By the way, someone sent you an invitation this time. With that, an invitation appeared in Huang Ling's hand. Invitation? Who sent it? Lu Ming was curious. Jade Lake. This time, the Jade Lake Saintess of Inheritance has been born. We're holding a tea party and sending out invitations to invite all the geniuses of the ancient moon sacred ground to Jade Lake. Huang Ling said. Saintess of Inheritance. Lu Ming was puzzled. He remembered that the last time the Jade Lake Saintess was born, she was not called the Saintess of Inheritance. As if seeing Lu Ming's puzzlement, Huang Ling explained. The 9 saintesses of Jade Lake were just ordinary saintesses. The Saintess of Inheritance of Jade Lake is above the ordinary saintesses in terms of status, talent, and beauty. She has the potential to take over Jade Lake in the future. However, the Saintess of Inheritance of Jade Lake is extremely rare. The selection criteria are very strict. Jade Lake has not had a Saintess of Inheritance for thousands of years. This time, many talents are invited. I'm afraid that many talents from the ancient moon sacred ground will be there. It will be very lively. In that case, we can gather. When? Lu Ming asked. Tomorrow. I'll look for you tomorrow. Let's go together, Huang Ling said. Lu Ming nodded. A day passed in the blink of an eye. The next day, Huang Ling and Mu Qingxue came to find Lu Ming. Lu Ming took Bubbles and went to Jade Lake together. It was the same lake as last time. Above the lake there were many palaces. The Jade Lake Celestial Palace appeared. In front of the Celestial Palace, someone welcomed them. They entered the Jade Lake Celestial Palace and came to a quiet and beautiful place. This area was very wide. At this time, the two sides of the area were filled with tables. Many people had already arrived. They were all young geniuses from various powerful forces. There were both men and women. Some young and beautiful women walked between the tables and poured tea for the geniuses. The area was filled with the fragrance of tea. At the top of the area, there were 9 jade tables. The 9 saintesses of Jade Lake sat at the 9 jade tables. Behind the 9 saintesses, there was a pavilion floating in the air. There was a flight of stairs extending to the bottom. In the pavilion, there was also a jade table, but there was no one there. Chapter 1787. Long Chun. When Lu Ming and the rest arrived, they saw Long Chun sitting at a table. They walked over and sat down at Long Chun's table. "You're here." Long Chun nodded and poured tea for Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Ming looked around and realized that Long Chun's aura was extremely powerful. Apparently, Long Chun had also broken through and entered the Supreme Saint realm. They chatted and drank tea. Outside, people kept arriving. Before long, there were hundreds of people in the area. They were all young geniuses. Almost all the geniuses from the ancient moon sacred ground had been invited. "Hehe, Lu Ming, you finally stopped being a coward and came out." At that moment, a sneer resounded throughout the area. Lu Ming looked in the direction of the voice and saw a few young people looking at him coldly. The geniuses of the Wan clan. Among them were Wan Tianbing, Wan Tianlong, and another person with a noble aura. Lu Ming did not recognize him. He was obviously another genius from the Wan clan. The one who had spoken was Wan Tianbing. At the scene, many geniuses looked at Lu Ming, and then at the geniuses from the Wan clan with anticipation. It seemed that Lu Ming was going to clash with the Wan clan again. "Wan Tianbing, what's wrong? Did you not enjoy the last battle?" Lu Ming said disdainfully. Wan Tianbing's face darkened. He snorted and said, "I was careless the last time. You don't have to be so smug." "Careless? What a joke. If it weren't for your shameless interference, you would have been dead." Lu Ming sneered in disdain. Bam! At that moment, a young man beside Wan Tianbing slammed the table. He looked at Lu Ming coldly and scolded. "How dare you insult the seniors of the Wan clan? You deserve to die." Lu Ming looked at him and said indifferently, "Who do you think you are?" "I said that the old men of the Wan clan are old dogs. Was I wrong? When you beat up the younger ones, the older ones stepped in. Everyone saw it. You still dare to spout nonsense? I'll kill you today." That person shouted coldly and suddenly stood up. A powerful aura pressed down on Lu Ming. Great Sage Realm. There was no doubt that this person was a supreme saint, much stronger than Wan Tianbing. Boom! Long Chun and Huang Ling, who were next to Lu Ming, exploded with powerful auras at the same time, causing that person's expression to change greatly. He was not the only one. The other people's expressions changed drastically. They looked at Huang Ling and Long Chun in disbelief. Great saints, Huang Ling and Long Chun have also broken through to the Great Saint realm. How is that possible? A few months ago, they were still far from the Great Sage realm. How did they break through to the Great Sage realm so quickly? Incredible! Many people cried out in surprise, finding it hard to believe. This was especially true for some of the geniuses who had competed with Huang Ling and Long Chun in the past. Huang Kong, Huang Bing, and the others from Phoenix Palace stared at Huang Ling with their mouths agape. In the end, they sighed. They knew that they had been far surpassed by Huang Ling. In addition to Huang Ling's terrifying talent, it would be difficult for them to surpass Huang Ling in this lifetime. The genius from Wan clan was called Wan Pingyang. He was one of the strongest geniuses in Wan clan. He had just returned from Celestial City not long ago. At this moment his expression changed. He had not expected Long Chun and Huang Ling to be so powerful. Wan Pingyang rolled his eyes and sneered. "Lu Ming, You're really a coward. When I went to Phoenix Palace to challenge you, you hid and refused to fight. Now you're hiding behind others. The path of martial arts depends on hiding. This is the first time I've seen it. You, a supreme saint, want to fight me, a bright sage. You think it's glorious. Is this your confidence and pride? Lu Ming replied coldly. Haha, ridiculous. Cultivation realm is also a kind of talent. No matter how strong your combat strength is, you'll be stuck in a realm forever. You'll be a piece of trash. What's the use? I can suppress you with a flip of my hand. Wan Pingyang laughed and sneered. Are you really that confident? You think you can suppress me? If a supreme saint like you is suppressed by a bright sage, I wonder if the seniors of Wang clan will come and find trouble with me again? Lu Ming said indifferently. Suppressed by you? That's ridiculous. Do you think it's possible? Come out and fight me. Wan Pingyang shouted. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled up slightly. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and he was about to stand up. At this moment, a clear voice sounded. Everyone, we're here to taste tea today. Let's get to know each other. There's no need to fight. The Saintess of Heritage is coming. At this moment, a Saintess of Jade Lake spoke. Lu Ming, you're lucky. I'll give the Saintess of Jade Lake some face today. However, your luck won't last forever. Wan Pingyang said coldly. Luck. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled up slightly. Who's the lucky one? They're here. At this moment, someone spoke up. Everyone's gaze turned towards the pavilion. A woman stepped out from the depths of Jade Lake Divine Palace. She was wearing a light gauze, revealing her white thighs. She was not wearing shoes. Her feet and legs were like the most beautiful works of art in the world. They were well proportioned and beautiful. One look at them, and they would not want to look away. With every step she took, a cloud would appear in the sky and hold her body. Everyone's gazes shifted upwards, moving past the peak of the turbulent waves. It was a peerless face that could topple cities. The 9 saintesses of Jade Lake were already peerless beauties. However, compared to this woman, they were overshadowed. This woman was like a fairy who had walked out of a painting. She was the legendary goddess. So beautiful. Someone muttered to himself. He was already stunned. Lu Ming was also stunned. Not only him, but Huang Ling and Long Chun were also stunned. It was not because she was too beautiful, but because they knew this woman. Luo Tianyi, Lu Ming mumbled to himself. He had never expected that the sacred lady of inheritance of the Jade Pool would be Luo Tianyi, one of the 7 people who had reached the end of the Hunyuan sect's assessment. She was one of the silver inheritors. I didn't expect that Jade Lake's Saintess of Inheritance would be her. Huang Ling muttered to herself. Indeed, I didn't expect this. Brother Lu Ming is really perverted. He's in a daze when he sees a beauty. Bubbles muttered at the side. Ahem. Lu Ming coughed awkwardly. His face was slightly red. He picked up a cup of tea and took a sip. He glanced at Bubbles and said, What does a little kid know? Of course I know. You think I can't see through your perverted eyes? Brother Long Chun and sister Huang Ling too. Bubbles pouted, and a trace of disdain flashed in her eyes. This made Long Chun and Huang Ling a little embarrassed. Little girl, you're talking nonsense. I'm a woman. How can I be perverted? Huang Ling rolled her eyes at Bubbles. Can't a woman be perverted? Bubbles muttered. By then, Luo Tianyi had already landed in the pavilion. She held up a cup of tea and said, I am Luo Tianyi. Thank you all for gracing me with your presence. There is no wine today, only tea. I would like to propose a toast to all of you. Chapter 1788. To be honest, Luo Tianyi was indeed extremely beautiful. Her looks were comparable to Huang Ling and Xian Yanxing. However, she had an additional aura, a seductive aura. Every frown, every smile, and every move she made seemed to be extremely charming and seductive. Most of the young men at the scene were tempted. They stared at Luo Tianyi passionately. Wan Pingyang was the same. His eyes were burning with passion as they fell on Luo Tianyi. He could not take his eyes off her. You flatter me. It's an honor to meet the Saintess Tianyi today. The Saintess is as beautiful as a goddess. It's my honor to meet you today. Some self-proclaimed handsome geniuses immediately spoke up, trying to get Luo Tianyi's attention. Every time the Saintess of Jade Lake was born, they would choose a protector to grow up with her. A protector, in layman's terms, was a cultivation partner or husband. This was the case for ordinary saintesses, and even more so for the Saintess of Heritage. If one could become the protector of Jade Lake's Saintess of Heritage, not only would he have a rare beauty, but he would also be able to enjoy the vast resources of Jade Lake. Who would not want to? Luo Tianyi smiled and waved her hand. Thank you for coming. Please take a seat. Everyone took their seats except for one person. It was a burly young man in a purple robe. The most eye-catching thing about him was his purple hair, which flowed freely in the wind. He looked wild and arrogant. He stared at Luo Tianyi passionately and said, "Saintess, you must be lonely sitting alone in the pavilion. Why don't you let me accompany you?" After he finished speaking, he soared into the air and stepped forward, intending to enter the pavilion. "It's Su Tuo from Skywolf Pagoda." Someone spoke out, recognizing this youth. He was an extremely powerful heavenly genius. Su Tuo stepped forward and quickly approached the pavilion. The 9 ordinary saintesses of Jade Lake looked upset. This man's behavior was an insult to Jade Lake's Saintess of Heritage. "Brother, you've gone too far. Saintess Tianyi did not invite you." An ordinary saintess rose into the air and blocked Su Tuo. "Can't I go up if she didn't invite me? Isn't Jade Lake's Saintess here to find a man? Do you think I'm not qualified enough?" Su Tuo said. His purple hair flew in the wind, and he stared at Luo Tianyi with a fiery gaze. "Watch your words." The expression of the Jade Lake's ordinary saintess became even more unsightly. Su Tuo's words were a blatant insult. "What are you pretending for? Women are born to be enjoyed by men. Otherwise, what's the point of being born in this world? Get out of my way." Su Tuo's aura surged as he shouted like a heavenly wolf howling at the moon. The ordinary saintesses turned pale and staggered backward. Su Tuo was obviously in the Great Saint realm, and was extremely powerful. He was one of the top geniuses of the ancient Moon Holy Land, and came from the powerful Skywolf Tower. Bang! Bang! With a loud shout, he forced back several ordinary saintesses. Su Tuo became even more arrogant. He stepped forward, causing the void to rumble. "The members of Skywolf Pagoda are truly domineering." Someone said, "Celestial Wolf Pagoda is filled with celestial wolves. They act insolently, and are extremely protective of their own. They're a bunch of lunatics. Let's lower our voices." Another person spoke. Whoosh, whoosh. At this time, several other holy maidens stood in front of Su Tuo. "Get out of my way." Many of them shouted again. Their purple hair danced in the wind, as if they were about to turn into purple wolves and pounce on Su Tuo. "Let him come over," Luo Tianyi said. Her face was calm as she sat on a jade stool. She picked up a cup of tea and sipped it casually. Yes, the saintesses nodded and made way for him. "Ha ha ha, Holy Maiden Tianyi, how about I be your protector? We can do it tonight." Su Tuo laughed and landed on the edge of the pavilion. "It's not impossible to become Tianyi's protector. Let's see if you have the ability to do so." Luo Tianyi smiled seductively. At this time, her eyes turned pitch black, and a mysterious wave of energy emanated from her body. At this time, Su Tuo's body froze. The next moment he shouted, "Who's there?" Then he turned around abruptly, and threw a punch behind him. A terrifying fist energy rushed into the vast void. Everyone looked at each other. There was no one behind Su Tuo. Why did he attack? However, what happened next was even more shocking. Su Tuo roared, and continued to throw punches. His face was ferocious, as if he was fighting fiercely with someone. After throwing hundreds of punches, Su Tuo roared and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale. "Illusion! Su Tuo is under an illusion!" Someone exclaimed. It was obvious that Su Tuo was under an illusion. Otherwise he would not be in such a state. However, with Su Tuo's cultivation, it was shocking that he was unknowingly under an illusion. At this time, Su Tuo came to his senses, and looked at Luo Tianyi with an ugly expression. "You can't even sit on this seat. It seems that you are not qualified to be Tianyi's protector." Luo Tianyi said with a smile on her face. "Su Tuo, you better come down. With your cultivation, you are not qualified at all." Someone said disdainfully. Many of the prodigies who came today were on par with Su Tuo in terms of cultivation. They were not afraid of him. Su Tuo's face turned even uglier. He snorted coldly and turned to leave the Jade Lake Divine Palace. He was too ashamed to stay. He was overbearing and said that he wanted Luo Tianyi to be his woman. Now he was injured before Luo Tianyi even made a move. Clearly, he was too inferior to Luo Tianyi. Whoever wants to sit and have a drink with Tianyi, come up. If you can step into the pavilion from this jade staircase, Tianyi will drink with you today. Luo Tianyi said with a smile. Many people were tempted by her words. As the saying goes, the pavilion closest to the water enjoys the moonlight first. If they could sit and drink tea with Luo Tianyi and get closer to her, they might have a chance to win her heart in the future. Many powerful prodigies' eyes lit up. I'll do it. In the crowd, a golden light flashed, and an arrogant young man wearing a golden robe flew up the jade ladder. After that, he walked towards the pavilion. It's the 5th prince of the Golden Crow clan. Someone recognized him. The Golden Crow clan. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Legend had it that the Golden Crow clan was extremely powerful. Among the younger generation, there were 10 princes, each stronger than the other. They were all terrifying existences. The 5th prince of the Golden Crow clan was also very famous. He had reached the Supreme Saint realm a few years ago. The 5th prince of the Golden Crow clan looked solemn. His body was enveloped in the divine fire of the sun. He walked up step by step. However, halfway up, he suddenly stopped and began to tremble. Break! Finally, he closed his eyes and roared. Boom! Chapter 1789. The Golden Crow 5th prince vomited blood and retreated, shocking many people. The saintess of Jade Lake's inheritance, Luo Tianyi, was so terrifying. She sat in the pavilion and didn't move, but she made the Golden Crow 5th prince vomit blood and retreat. Could it be the legendary law of illusion? It's possible. Otherwise, how could it have such power? The law of illusion is the law of kings, second only to the 10 supreme laws. Luo Tianyi has a regal body. Another one with a regal body has appeared. Now it's really entering an era of regal bodies. Not only regal bodies, but also sons of heaven. In Celestial City, several sons of heaven have appeared. Isn't Lu Ming the son of chaos? There was a burst of discussion all around. It should be the law of illusion, one of the law of kings. Lu Ming whispered. Below the 10 supreme laws, there were some laws that were extremely terrifying and powerful. They were not much weaker than the 10 supreme laws. These laws were called the law of kings. This king was not the king of martial kings, but the king of laws. The king of thousands of laws. Those who controlled the law of kings were called regal bodies. As for those who controlled the 10 strongest laws, they were known as Elysian children. For example, Luo Xiang controlled the law of speed, which was a law of kings. There was also Long Chen's law of strength, which was the pinnacle of strength. It was also a law of kings. Huang Ling's law of immortal fire was also a law of kings. Now there was another one, the law of illusion. The law of illusion could make people fall into an illusion unknowingly. When attacked in the illusion, the body would be injured. It was extremely mysterious. Lu Ming had also practiced illusion, but compared to the law of illusion, it was much weaker. Luo Tianyi's soul power is definitely very strong. Lu Ming speculated. Who else wants to come up? Luo Tianyi's voice sounded again. Let me. At this time, Wan Pingyang got up and landed on the jade ladder. He wanted to climb up the pavilion, but the result was the same as the Golden Crow 5th prince. He vomited blood and retreated, returning to his seat with a gloomy face. Then a few more geniuses went up. Some of them had a very high cultivation, but it was useless. The result was the same. They vomited blood and retreated. Luo Tianyi's cultivation was unfathomable and unpredictable. Is anyone else coming? Luo Tianyi smiled and looked around. When she saw Lu Ming, she nodded slightly at Lu Ming. Big brother Lu Ming, that big sister seems to be interested in you. She's hinting at you. Hurry up and go. At the side, Bubbles mumbled. You have sharp eyes. Lu Ming stroked Bubbles' little head, and Bubble immediately revealed an expression of enjoyment. However, it's not bad to go up and have a drink. Lu Ming smiled and stood up. He took a step forward and landed on the jade stairs. Everyone's eyes instantly fell on Lu Ming. You're overestimating yourself. Even the other great sage geniuses couldn't step on it. You, a mere bright sage, want to step on it? Wan Tianbing seized the opportunity to mock him. You're right. Let's see how he embarrasses himself later. Wan Pingyang continued. The others also shook their heads. Lu Ming, a bright sage, would not be able to step on it. He would probably be thrown down in a few minutes. Lu Ming glanced at Wan Pingyang and Wan Tianbing indifferently and said disdainfully, You're a good-for-nothing. Do you think everyone is like you? Who are you calling a good-for-nothing? Wan Pingyang's eyes flashed coldly. Whoever answers will be the winner. Lu Ming said, You're just trying to win with words. Let's see how you're going to step on it. Wan Pingyang's face was gloomy. Then open your eyes wide and watch. Lu Ming smiled and stepped on the stairs. Lu Ming moved forward step by step at a uniform speed. Soon, he was halfway up the jade stairs. However, he did not slow down and continued to move forward at the same speed. Many people's faces changed. Wan Pingyang's face also changed. Lu Ming continued to move forward. Soon he was close to the pavilion. Still nothing happened. How can this be? Luo Tianyi didn't even make a move. Did Luo Tianyi deliberately let him go up? Impossible. Someone shouted, finding it hard to accept. She deliberately let Lu Ming go up. What did this mean? Could it be that Luo Tianyi was interested in Lu Ming? However, Luo Tianyi had thrown so many stronger geniuses down. How could Luo Tianyi be interested in Lu Ming? However, the truth was in front of them. Lu Ming moved forward step by step. Every step seemed to be stepping on the hearts of those geniuses. Huang Ling and Long Chun smiled faintly. If Lu Ming wanted to go up, why would Luo Tianyi stop him? Bam! Finally, Lu Ming stepped on the pavilion. Many people's hearts skipped a beat. Young Master Lu, please take a seat. A bright smile appeared on Luo Tianyi's face. Her crisp voice stunned many people. A beauty's invitation. Isn't it wonderful? Lu Ming smiled. He chose a stool next to Luo Tian and sat down. His body was almost leaning against Luo Tian. Then Luo Tianyi poured Lu Ming a cup of tea. Lu Ming picked it up, took a deep breath and praised. It smells so good. No one knew if he was talking about the tea or the person. However, below the stage, the young genius's eyes were red with envy. Lu Ming, what right do you have to sit up there? Get down. Wan Pingyang roared. He was so envious that he wished he was the one sitting on the stage. He could not understand why Luo Tianyi did not attack Lu Ming. Could it be that she was interested in Lu Ming? At the thought of this, he was mad with hatred and jealousy. Whether I am qualified or not is not up to you to decide. Lu Ming glanced at Wan Pingyang casually, then looked at Luo Tianyi and said, You are so beautiful. Even Lu Ming's heart can't help but beat faster. After saying this, Lu Ming slowly leaned toward Luo Tian. Young master, you flatter me. Luo Tianyi was still smiling, as if she was not angry at all. Lu Ming smiled. Then, under the angry gazes of the crowd, he picked up Luo Tianyi's cup and drank the tea in one gulp. The tea that the goddess drank is so fragrant. Haha. Lu Ming laughed. This was very flirtatious. It was the same as flirting with Luo Tianyi in front of everyone. Many people thought that Luo Tianyi would lose her temper, but the result surprised them. Luo Tianyi was still smiling, as if she did not mind at all. She said, If you don't mind, you can come and have tea with Tianyi more often in the future. Oh my God! Many people were screaming in their hearts. What was going on? Did Luo Tianyi really like Lu Ming? Or did Lu Ming and Luo Tianyi already have an affair? At the thought of these two possibilities, many people were very upset. Some people were screaming in their hearts. Why can't it be me? Even the other 9 saintesses of Jade Lake were a little stunned. Based on their understanding of Luo Tianyi, if anyone dared to do this to Luo Tianyi, they would be crippled immediately. There was no other outcome. Chapter 1790. Lu Ming, how dare you flirt with Saintess Tianyi? You're courting death. I'm going to cripple you. Wan Pingyang roared. The Golden Crow 5th Prince, and the others looked at him coldly. Shut up. Saintess Tianyi hasn't said anything yet, and you've already jumped out. Don't you think it's embarrassing? Lu Ming scolded. Wan Pingyang looked at Luo Tianyi and found that she didn't react at all. He then looked at Lu Ming and his face turned red. Yes, Luo Tianyi didn't say anything, which meant that she admitted it. It was really embarrassing for him to jump out like this. Lu Ming, get down here. Who do you think you are? You're just a bright sage from Sangzhou. You're not even an emperor-level force. What right do you have to sit next to Saintess Luo Tianyi? Tian Pingyang shouted. Oh, you're of noble birth, born in a big power. But you're born in a big power. Yet you only have this little bit of cultivation. You're really a piece of trash. Aren't you ashamed? Lu Ming retorted. What did you say? Lu Ming, you coward. I want to challenge you. Do you dare to accept? I'd like to see who's the real trash. Wan Pingyang roared. He wanted to chop Lu Ming into pieces. Today, he wanted to humiliate Lu Ming harshly to wash away his shame. Okay, I'll give you this chance, Lu Ming said coldly. He then looked at Luo Tianyi and said, Saintess Tianyi, can we fight here? Of course. Since you're so interested, Tianyi will open up the battle platform and let you have a good fight. Luo Tianyi smiled and nodded to the other 9 saintesses. The 9 holy maidens accepted the order and arrived at a spacious area. With a wave of their hands, the ground glowed, and a battle stage appeared. In the Jade Lake, there are many fighting stages built in many places for disciples to learn from each other. You can go up and fight, Luo Tianyi said. No one was surprised. In fact, many powerful forces had built such battle platforms. They were usually hidden by arrays. If there was a battle, they could be opened at any time. It was very convenient. If you want to fight, I'll accompany you. Lu Ming stood up and said, Saintess Tianyi, pour me a cup of tea. I'll be back soon to accompany you. After saying that, he took a step forward and landed on the battle stage. This made Wan Pingyang grit his teeth. Lu Ming was too arrogant. Did he mean that he could defeat him before the tea turned cold? What a joke! His cultivation base is at the Great Sage realm. Moreover, he was not an ordinary Great Sage. He was a peerless genius with powerful combat strength. Even if Lu Ming could fight an ordinary Great Sage, he could not possibly be a match for him. There's no need for you to deal with a mere Lu Ming. I'll suppress him. Wan Tianbing stood up and stared at Lu Ming with sharp eyes. Wan Pingyang's gaze shifted as he said, All right, I'll leave it to you then. If Wan Tianbing could defeat Lu Ming and humiliate Lu Ming even more, why wouldn't he do it? Wan Tianbing stepped forward and came to the battle stage. Last time, you lost miserably even when you teamed up with others. If it weren't for the old dog of the Wan family, you would have been dead. You still dare to fight? Lu Ming said disdainfully. I've said it. Last time I was careless. This time, I'll kill you. Wan Tianbing shouted coldly. His body began to emit light as sacred weapons flew out and floated around him. Among them, there was a spot of light that was particularly bright. A battle sword flew out from it, and a terrifying sword chi soared into the sky. It's a sacred weapon, someone exclaimed. The corner of Lu Ming's mouth curled up slightly. It turned out that Wan Tianbing had sealed another sacred weapon, and it was more stable than the last time. No wonder he dared to fight with Lu Ming. Last time, Lu Ming was almost defeated by his sacred weapon. Kill! The battle sword chi gathered, and the sword chi soared into the sky. Wan Tianbing held the battle sword and slashed at Lu Ming. Its power was shocking. Those below the Supreme Saint realm were shocked. The Wan family's art of 10,000 weapons was indeed amazing. As long as one's physical body and cultivation were strong enough, one could continuously seal powerful sacred weapons. Ordinary Supreme Saints wouldn't dare to face this move head-on. But Lu Ming was no ordinary person. I'll take this sacred weapon, Lu Ming whispered. In the next moment, he rushed toward Wan Tianbing and slashed at him with his palm like a knife. Lu Ming attacked Wan Tianbing's sacred weapon with his bare hands, but the result was out of everyone's expectations. Clang! Lu Ming's palm hit the battle sword. The battle sword vibrated violently, and a terrifying force rushed toward Wan Tianbing. In an instant, Wan Tianbing's expression changed. His eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. He could feel a terrifying power coming from the sword. It was endless. Buzz! The battle sword vibrated, and his palm exploded. The battle sword flew out of his hand, and his body was thrown far away like a kite with a broken string. He landed on the fighting ring and spat out mouthfuls of blood. His face was as pale as paper. Lu Ming waved his hand, and his sacred power rolled up and took Wan Tianbing's sacred weapon. Many people gasped a breath of cold air and looked at Lu Ming in horror. Wan Tianbing was defeated in one move. He couldn't even withstand a single blow. Many people still remembered that a few months ago, Lu Ming had fought with Wan Tianbing and the 6th Golden Crow Prince at Lake Phoenix. In that battle, Lu Ming defeated Wan Tianbing and the 6th Golden Crow Prince with great difficulty. He was even forced into a disadvantageous position after Wan Tianbing took out his sacred weapon. But now, Lu Ming had defeated Wan Tianbing with one move, and he spat out mouthfuls of blood and flew out of the fighting ring. He even took Wan Tianbing's sacred weapon. In just a few months, Lu Ming's combat strength had become so terrifying. Hand over your sacred weapon. Wan Pingyang stood up and stepped onto the fighting ring. His eyes were gloomy. Ridiculous. That's my trophy. Do you have any sacred weapons? Take them out. They'll be my trophy later too. Lu Ming said. You want my sacred weapon? I'm afraid you won't be able to take it. Kill. Wan Pingyang roared. His body emitted dazzling light spots. Sacred weapons flew out, and the chi of sacred weapons soared into the sky. There were 150 sacred weapons, 12 great sacred weapons, and one sacred weapon. The sacred weapon was a long spear. Wan Pingyang held the long spear, and his aura was even more terrifying. Whoosh! The long spear pierced through the air and stabbed toward Lu Ming. Wan Pingyang was a lesser saint of the Supreme Saint realm. The power of the sealed ultimate saint weapon was even more terrifying than Wan Tianbing's. His combat strength was several times stronger than Wan Tianbing's. Bam! Lu Ming stepped forward and rushed toward Wan Pingyang like lightning. His palm was like a knife, and he attacked. Clang! Lu Ming's palm collided with Wan Pingyang's long spear, and there was an earth-shattering explosion. Both of their bodies shook slightly, and then they fought again. A great saint was much more powerful than a sacred weapon. Wan Pingyang's spiritual body was also a middle-level heaven spiritual body. His combat strength was extremely terrifying, far surpassing that of a lesser great saint. Dong! Dong! Chapter 1791. Everyone present was shocked. Lu Ming's combat strength was beyond their imagination. How can he be so strong? A few months ago, Lu Ming was far from this combat strength. His cultivation has improved and reached the great circle of the Bright Saint realm. How can it be so fast? He was only in the great circle of the Bright Saint realm a few months ago. Huang Ling and Long Chen's cultivation has also improved a lot. I heard that a few months ago, the geniuses who obtained the Hunyuan token entered the Hunyuan sect to participate in the assessment. Perhaps Lu Ming, Huang Ling, and Long Chen have all obtained the Hunyuan token. The Hunyuan sect's assessment has great opportunities. Perhaps it's true. The crowd discussed, and soon, someone had a rough idea. After all, the Hunyuan sect's assessment was no secret. Every few decades, a group of geniuses would enter and participate in the assessment. It was easy to make the connection. However, Lu Ming's combat strength was still amazing. A bright saint could fight a great saint, and his opponent was also a peerless genius. Dong! Dong! Lu Ming collided with his opponent a few more times, and then retreated quickly. You're defeated. Wan Pingyang roared. You're thinking too much. Seal. Lu Ming whispered. Then, the long spear in Wan Pingyang's hand suddenly appeared densely packed runes, and along the long spear, they quickly spread towards Wan Pingyang's body, forming a terrifying sealing force to seal Wan Pingyang. Damn it, what is this? Wan Pingyang bellowed furiously. He unleashed all his strength and wanted to break the seal. However, Lu Ming had exchanged so many blows with him earlier. He had set up a terrifying seal. How could he break it in one go? Lu Ming took a step forward, and his body moved like lightning. In an instant, he was in front of Wan Pingyang. He threw a punch at Wan Pingyang's body. Wan Pingyang screamed miserably, and his body flew far away. There were sounds of cracking and cracking sounds coming from his body. Devour! Lu Ming unleashed his devouring power and shrouded all of Wan Pingyang's saint weapons, preventing Wan Pingyang from taking them back. He then used his saint force to cut off the connection and kept all of the saint weapons. My saint weapons! Wan Pingyang roared. He was so angry that he spat out a few more mouthfuls of blood. 150 bright saint weapons, 12 great saint weapons, and 1 absolute saint weapon. All of them were in Lu Ming's hands. His heart was bleeding. There was a flaw in the Wan clan's cultivation method, and that was that it required a lot of money. It was too expensive to seal so many saint weapons. This was his many years of hard work. Now it was all gone. Lu Ming had taken it. I said, "This is my spoils of war." Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared beside Wan Pingyang. He looked down at him and said coldly, "So what if you have a high cultivation level?" "You." Wan Pingyang almost spat out blood again. His eyes were full of murderous intent. He glared at Lu Ming and said, "Lu Ming, my Wan clan will not let you go. You better return all of my saint weapons. You can't take them all." "Ha ha ha, what a joke. You're a piece of trash. You're not even a match for a bright saint with your great saint cultivation. Now you're threatening me with the forces behind you. Is this the style of your Wan clan? Is this where your arrogance lies? A piece of trash like you would be a complete piece of trash if you weren't born in a big force. I can kill a lot of you with one slap. Get lost." Lu Ming laughed. He kicked Wan Pingyang's head and kicked him off the fighting ring. "Lu Ming, just you wait." On the other side, Wan Tianlong rushed over and helped Wan Pingyang up. They flew into the sky and left the place. Wan Tianbing did the same. He was too ashamed to stay. "Who else wants to fight me?" Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning as he scanned the entire place, especially the Golden Crow tribe. The Golden Crow 5th Prince and the Golden Crow 6th Prince had ugly expressions. However, Lu Ming's combat power was unfathomable. He did not seem to have used his full strength when he fought with Wan Pingyang just now. At the very least, he did not see Lu Ming unleash the divine power of the law of chaos. Although the Golden Crow 5th Prince was arrogant, he was not confident in fighting with Lu Ming. He might even be humiliated. There were stronger sky prides present. However, they didn't have any grudges against Lu Ming. They didn't want to offend a sky pride with limitless potential like Lu Ming. Therefore, no one went up to fight. Since no one wants to fight, let's continue drinking tea. Lu Ming smiled and stepped out. He returned to the pavilion and picked up the teacup. It seems that it's not too late. The tea is still hot. Then he drained the cup in one gulp. Although Lu Ming had fought 2 battles in a row, he was very fast and didn't waste much time. "If young Master Lu likes it, you can come to the Jade Pool more often. There's plenty of tea." Luo Tianyi smiled. "How can I not come when a beauty invites me?" Lu Ming said. The others could only sigh. They were sure that Luo Tianyi had taken a fancy to Lu Ming. Below, Huang Ling's face flashed with an unnatural expression. "Sister Huang Ling is jealous." Bubbles muttered. "You little girl, you're talking nonsense." Huang Ling's face flushed red. She picked up Bubbles' chubby body and rubbed it hard. Lu Ming had a good time drinking tea at the tea party. However, for the rest, it was as if they were drinking plain water. Not long after, someone found an excuse to leave. With someone taking the lead, more people left one after another. Soon, only Lu Ming and a few others were left. "Saintess Tianyi, I'll visit you another day. Goodbye." Lu Ming cupped his fists. "Young master, come to the Jade Pool more often." Luo Tianyi smiled and transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded and then left the Jade Pool with Long Chen, Huang Ling, and the others. Back at the Phoenix Palace, Lu Ming continued to cultivate in seclusion. In the mountain river diagram, Lu Ming took out a combat sword and planned to seal it. This combat sword was the absolute holy weapon that he had taken from Wan Tianbing. Lu Ming now had a total of 3 absolute holy weapons: a battle axe, a combat sword, and a long spear. 2 of them were taken from Wan Tianbing, and 1 from Wan Pingyang. Besides the long spear, Lu Ming was more comfortable with the combat sword. He planned to seal this combat sword first. When Wan Tianbing was in the Great Sage Realm, he needed the help of a martial emperor to seal the absolute holy weapon. However, Lu Ming's spiritual body was stronger. He was confident that he could seal it successfully without the help of a martial emperor. Immediately, Lu Ming activated the 10,000 weapon art and began to seal the absolute holy weapon. An aperture on his arm lit up. The absolute holy weapon flew into the aperture. Suddenly, a terrible tearing force burst out. The absolute holy weapon was too powerful. Lu Ming's arm swelled and almost exploded. Waves of tearing pain spread throughout his body. Hold on. Lu Ming growled and activated the 10,000 weapon art with all his might. He endured the pain. Gradually, the absolute holy weapon's chi of the absolute holy weapon calmed down. Lu Ming's arm gradually returned to its original state. After a few hours, Lu Ming finished cultivating. He had finally succeeded. Lu Ming let out a long breath. Sealing the absolute holy weapon was too dangerous. If he was not careful, his aperture would burst and his body would explode. However, once the seal was successful, the power of the 10,000 weapon art would skyrocket. Chapter 1792. I should be able to seal a few more great sage weapons. Lu Ming pondered. It was impossible to continue sealing more great sage weapons. His body could not withstand it. He had to at least break through to the great sage realm, or evolve his spirit body again. However, it should be possible to seal a few more great sage weapons. This way, his strength could also increase a little. Following that, Lu Ming sealed another 6 great sage weapons. The number of great sage weapons he sealed increased to 12, which was the same as Wan Pingyang. After cultivating the 10,000 weapon art, Lu Ming continued to comprehend the chaotic calamity finger and the sealing scroll. Time flew, and another 2 months passed in a flash. Lu Ming's cultivation entered a period of steady improvement, slowly approaching the great sage realm. During this period, the ancient Moon Holy Land entered a period of stability. Many of the sky prides of Celestial City had returned, but they were actively preparing for war, cultivating diligently, waiting for the opening of the Holy Court of Yuan Mountain. Several great emperors had established the Holy Court of Yuan Mountain. At that time, all the sky prides of Yuan Mountain would definitely gather in Celestial City. Celestial City would become a place for sky prides to compete for supremacy. If one's cultivation was not enough, they would only become a stepping stone for others. Therefore, each and every one of them was cultivating diligently. On this day, Huang Ling and Long Chun came together to look for Lu Ming, to go to the Myriad Spirit Trading City. The Myriad Spirit Trading City was very famous in the ancient Moon Holy Land. It was jointly established by several powerful forces, including the Wang clan. In the Myriad Spirit Trading City, there were many shops. All kinds of treasures and diluted items could be seen. After many years of development, it had become incomparably prosperous, becoming the 2 largest trading places in the ancient Moon Holy Land. Every day, there was a sea of people. Lu Ming was naturally curious about such a place, so he readily agreed. He also wanted to take a look and see if he could buy some useful things. Also, he wanted to sell some of the useless things on him in exchange for origin stones. Lu Ming brought bubbles, and the group flew in the air. Soon, a huge city appeared in front of them. This city was very big, and people could be seen coming in and out of the city. There was an endless stream of people coming in and out of the city. The few of them landed at the city gate, which was guarded. If one wanted to enter the city, they had to pay a certain amount of ores. They paid the entrance fee and walked into the city. As soon as he entered the city, all he could see were shops of all kinds. There was no end in sight. Those factions that opened the trading city really made a lot of money. You have to pay a fee to enter the city, and you also have to pay a fee to rent out these shops. How many ores do they earn every year? Lu Ming sighed. No wonder the Wang clan was so wealthy. Every disciple had a large number of saint weapons to cultivate the 10,000 weapons art. The Wang clan had been developing for countless years and had many disciples. With so many people cultivating the 10,000 weapon art, the number of saint weapons required was a terrifying number. This wasn't a big deal, especially for those monarch-level experts who needed monarch weapons to cultivate. The price was even more terrifying. If one didn't have any income, they wouldn't be able to cultivate. The few of them wandered around the streets, looking for what they needed. Lu Ming also entered a few shops and exchanged all the useless things on him for high-grade origin stones. When one reached the Saint Realm, they mostly used high-grade origin stones for cultivation. On the other hand, Lu Ming only had a few Ming Sheng weapons left. He had sold most of them in exchange for a lot of spirit liquid to water the tree of enlightenment. He had also bought some spirit herbs for bubbles. Suddenly, they saw many people gathering in a direction. They were curious and followed them. They found that many people had rushed into a large hall. "Brother, why are there so many people running here?" Lu Ming and the others stopped a young man and asked. "This palace is a place where slaves are sold. There are all kinds of slaves for sale, both human and demon. I just heard that they're selling a true dragon, a peerless beauty. That's very rare. Brother, I have to go, or it'll be too late," the young man said and hurried forward. "A true dragon? A beauty?" Lu Ming frowned slightly. "Let's go take a look too," Lu Ming said to Long Chun and Huang Ling. Then, the three of them walked toward the hall. The hall was very spacious, but it was already crowded with people. The three of them squeezed into the crowd and looked forward. At the front of the hall, there was a platform. This was the place where slaves were sold. At this moment, there was a beautiful woman sitting on the platform. She was wearing something that looked like a collar around her neck, wrists, and ankles. There were runes flashing on it. It was obvious that it could seal one's cultivation base. The woman looked haggard and her aura was weak. Her snow-white dress was torn in many places, revealing wounds that seemed to be caused by whips. There were also large patches of snow-white skin. It was obvious that she had been tortured. Although she was injured and her aura was weak, it could not hide her beautiful figure and appearance. Boom! Seeing the woman, Lu Ming's mind buzzed, and his body emitted a cold and terrifying murderous intent. Senior sister. Lu Ming's murderous intent was extremely terrifying. It surged in all directions like a tide. The woman on the platform was Lu Ming's senior sister, Xuaningxin. The people around felt chills all over, and could not help but retreat. "Lu Ming, what's wrong with you?" On the side, Huang Ling was surprised. Why did Lu Ming suddenly burst out with such a terrifying murderous intent? "The woman on the platform is my senior sister," Lu Ming growled, his eyes emitting a terrifying murderous light. "Your senior sister?" Huang Ling and Long Chun were shocked. They understood why Lu Ming burst out with such a murderous intent. At that moment on the platform, two elders beside Xuaningxin also noticed Lu Ming's abnormality. Their bodies burst out with a shocking aura. That was the aura of a supreme saint. Who dares to cause trouble in the Thousand Spirit Exchange? Kill. One of the elders said coldly. Furthermore, in the surroundings of the palace, terrifying auras were faintly emitted. There were many powerful auras that caused people's hearts to tremble. This place was jointly built by the Wan clan, Skybird Palace, and Skywolf Pagoda. Naturally, they had sent many experts to guard it. "Lu Ming, don't be rash. The four forces have sent many experts here," Huang Ling said to Lu Ming through telepathy. Lu Ming nodded. He suppressed the murderous intent in his heart and withdrew the murderous intent in his body. On the platform, Xuaningxin seemed to have felt Lu Ming's murderous intent. She raised her head and looked over. When she saw Lu Ming, her eyes flashed with surprise and hope, but then the light dimmed. She shook her head at Lu Ming. She wanted Lu Ming to leave and not save her. "Senior sister, don't worry. I will save you," Lu Ming said to Xuaningxin through telepathy. His voice was resolute and unquestionable. Xuaningxin continued to shake her head. The forces here were too powerful. They were many times stronger than the so-called top forces in Song Prefecture. She did not want Lu Ming to offend these powerful forces to save her. Chapter 1793. Silence. On the stage, an elder raised his hand and the crowd quieted down. "Allow me to introduce it to you. This is a snow dragon in the half-saint realm. It's very beautiful, which is rare even among true dragons. If you're interested, you can buy it and play with it. Now let's begin the auction. The highest bidder will get it. The starting price is 100,000 upper-grade primordial stones." The elder's words made many people's eyes light up. True dragons are rare, and it's a snow dragon. Such a beautiful one is even rarer. It must be very exciting to buy it and play with it. Hee, I've never played with a true dragon before. I wonder what it's like. I'll take it. In your dreams. It's mine. Many people stared at Xue Ningxin passionately. Xue Ningxin's eyes were filled with despair, while Lu Ming's killing intent was even stronger. I'll pay 150,000 upper-grade primordial stones. I'll pay 160,000. 200,000. Everyone started to bid. The crowd was in high spirits, and the price kept rising. Soon it reached 300,000. 300,000 upper-grade primordial stones, to buy a half-saint true dragon, was definitely a high price. One upper-grade primordial stone was equal to 10,000 mid-grade primordial stones. 300,000 upper-grade primordial stones were equal to 3 billion mid-grade primordial stones. 400,000. Lu Ming's voice was heard. He directly raised the price by 100,000 to 400,000. Many people shook their heads at the sudden increase of 100,000. This price was too high. It wasn't worth it to buy a half-saint true dragon. 450,000. Just then, a young man with a sinister look looked at Lu Ming and said, "Boy, you want to compete with me? Let's see how rich you are." 500,000. Without hesitation, Lu Ming called out 500,000 yuan. 550,000. The young man raised the price by another 50,000. At the side, the others sucked in a breath of cold air. 550,000. This price was already extremely shocking. At this point, most people gave up on bidding and shook their heads regretfully. 600,000. Lu Ming continued to raise the price. 650,000. The evil-looking young man raised the price again, but it was obvious that he was in pain. 650,000 was an extremely shocking price. This was a high-grade primordial stone, not a mid-grade one. "Huang Ling, Long Chun, lend me some ores later." Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Huang Ling and Long Chun. "No problem. Give me as much as you want." Huang Ling and Long Chun spoke. 1 million. This time, Lu Ming directly raised the price to 1 million. As long as he could save Xue Ningxin, he didn't care how many primordial stones he had to spend. Hiss gasps could be heard all around. Lu Ming had actually raised the price to 1 million. Who is this person? What great wealth! Just for a female true dragon. He's willing to spend 1 million high-grade origin stones. I recognize him. He is Lu Ming. I didn't expect him to be such a lecher. He has a beauty like Huang Ling by his side. Yet he still spent a lot of money to buy this true dragon. His taste is extraordinary. Young people are full of energy. Everyone was discussing and some elders even sighed. What nonsense are these people talking about? Huang Ling blushed. Not only were the others shocked, but when Lu Ming shouted 1 million, the evil young man's face also changed. He seemed to be struggling. In the end, he looked at Xue Ningxin passionately and shook his head. Apparently, he had given up on bidding. 1 million high-grade origin stones was too high. 1 million. Is there anyone who offers a higher price? You have to know that this is a snow dragon. Even in the true dragon race, it is extremely rare. If you buy it, you will definitely have a different taste. Normally, if you wanted to buy it, you wouldn't be able to find it anywhere. On the high platform, an elder spoke, hoping to incite the crowd to continue bidding. However, although many people's eyes were burning, they still shook their heads. 1 million high-grade origin stones was too high. 1 million. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher? The elder continued to shout. After that, the elder called out 3 times in a row, but no one said anything. Alright, since no one wants to bid, this snow dragon belongs to... The elder was about to announce. But before he could finish, he was interrupted by another voice. Wait a minute. I'll bid 1,100,000. A voice was heard. It came from behind the high platform. There were some rooms behind the high platform. Then a group of young men walked out from there. Wan Pingyang, Wan Tianbing. Lu Ming glanced around and emitted a cold light. There were more than 10 young men in the group. Lu Ming knew a few of them. They were Wan Pingyang, Wan Tianbing, and Wan Tianlong. In addition, Lu Ming knew Su Tua from Skywolf Pagoda and young Master Tianying from Skybird Palace. Lu Ming did not know the rest. The one who had bid was Wan Pingyang. Young masters, why are you here? On the high platform, the elder bowed to Wan Pingyang and the others. There is a rare snow dragon for auction here. We are also very interested, so we came to take a look. After Wan Pingyang finished speaking, he looked at Lu Ming with a cold light flashing in his eyes. Lu Ming, these young men are the geniuses who founded the Myriad Spirit Exchange. Huang Ling transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. His gaze was cold as he glanced at Wan Pingyang. 2 million. Haha, Lu Ming. I didn't expect you to be so interested in this snow dragon. However, I am also very interested in it. Wan Pingyang laughed and raised the price again. 5 million. Lu Ming did not even blink, and raised the price by 200,000. 160. 2 million. In the end, Lu Ming raised the price to 2 million, which silenced the crowd. Wan Pingyang was slightly stunned, and did not continue to raise the price. He glanced at Lu Ming, and then at Xuanixin. He smiled and said, I understand. Lu Ming, you know the snow dragon, right? No wonder you raised the price so high. Lu Ming did not say anything, and only looked at Wan Pingyang coldly. Wan Pingyang's lips curled into a cold smile. If that's the case, we won't sell this snow dragon. What did you say? Lu Ming stared at Wan Pingyang with a terrifying light in his eyes. Are you deaf? Let me tell you, we won't sell the snow dragon. The Myriad Spirit Exchange was founded by the four of us. I have the final say on whether we sell it or not. Wan Pingyang sneered and continued. A rare snow dragon, and it's so beautiful. To be honest, I haven't played with it before. Now I'm going to keep it for myself. Brother Wan, you can't have it alone. Su Tua, who was standing at the side, said with a fiery light in his eyes. Ha ha, of course not. We're all brothers. Everyone has a share. Wan Pingyang laughed. Obviously, his words were for Lu Ming's ears. Lu Ming's killing intent was getting stronger. Seeing that Lu Ming was angry, Wan Pingyang, Wan Tianbing, and the rest were delighted. They felt the thrill of revenge. Chapter 1794. Haha, I've never seen such a beautiful snow dragon before. I wonder what's the difference between her skin and a human's. Wan Tianbing laughed. He stepped forward and appeared beside Xuanixin. He raised his hand and was about to touch her. Go away. Xuanixin roared and moved back. Slap. Wan Tianbing slapped Xuanixin's face and scolded. Bitch, how dare you treat me like this? Tonight, I'll make you beg for death. Then, Wan Tianbing looked at Lu Ming provocatively. Boom. At that moment, a terrifying aura exploded from Lu Ming's body. Cold murderous intent spread out like a cold wave, causing the temperature in the hall to drop rapidly. Lu Ming was like a wild beast that could explode at any time. Lu Ming, what do you want? Do you want to fight? Wan Pingyang, Su Tua, and the others also released their auras and stared at Lu Ming. At the same time, terrifying auras rose from all around the hall. They were looking forward to Lu Ming's attack, so that they could take the opportunity to kill Lu Ming. Junior brother, no. Xuanixin looked at Lu Ming and shook her head. So, you're Lu Ming's senior sister. Haha, I'll be more excited when I play with you. Wan Tianbing stared at Xuanixin passionately. Wan Tianbing, you'll die miserably. I promise. Lu Ming said coldly. His murderous intent grew stronger. Huang Ling and Long Chen also released powerful auras. How dare you threaten me? Believe it or not, I'll strip this bitch naked right now. Wan Tianbing stood next to Xuanixin. He formed a blade of Saint Power and slashed it. A large part of Xuanixin's clothes was torn apart. Bubbles, you save her. I'll kill her. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Bubbles. Don't worry. Leave it to me. Bubble nodded. Then, she opened her mouth and blew at Xuanixin. A strange ripple appeared in the air. On the high platform, Xuanixin's body suddenly rippled like water. In the next moment, Xuanixin disappeared. How dare you rob in the Thousand Spirit Exchange? You're courting death. Wan Pingyang came to his senses and shouted. Today, we're not only intercepting people, we're also going to kill them. Lu Ming roared. When he shouted the last word kill, two terrifying sword gleams burst out from his eyes and rushed into Wan Tianbing's body. Ah! Wan Tianbing immediately let out a miserable shriek. He held his head with both hands. His face twisted in extreme pain. Lu Ming's forehead was glowing. That was because of his spiritual strength fluctuations. A terrifying energy was constantly pouring into Wan Tianbing's mind, attacking his soul. Lu Ming didn't tear Wan Tianbing's soul apart at once. That would be too easy for him. Lu Ming wanted to tear Wan Tianbing's soul apart slowly and make him suffer. The pain of the soul was 10 times, 100 times more intense than the pain of the physical body. Ah, 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 ah. Wan Tianbing screamed crazily and rolled on the ground. He held his head and hit the ground hard. "You're courting death. Stop." An elder on the high platform yelled. "You're all going to die," Lu Ming shouted. He took a step forward and dashed toward the fighting ring at lightning speed. His body glowed, and sacred weapons appeared one after another. He held the absolute sacred weapon, the combat sword, in his hand. "You're courting death," the old man roared, and threw a punch at Lu Ming. This old man was a great sage, great mastery powerhouse. Whoosh! Lu Ming slashed out with his sword and collided with the elder's fist. The terrifying power made the elder's body tremble violently, and he retreated frantically. Dong! Lu Ming landed on the high platform and took a few steps forward. Dense runes spread out and crawled toward the two elders, covering their entire bodies in an instant. The sealing art could seal all living things. It directly sealed the cultivation of the two old men. Break! The two elders were shocked and frantically attacked. However, it was too late. Lu Ming rushed past them, and his sword slashed across the void. Two heads flew up high, and the destructive sword chi had destroyed the souls of the two elders. The two experts in the Great Saint Great Completion were killed by Lu Ming in the blink of an eye. "How dare you! Kill!" Wan Pingyang, Su Tua, and the others roared and attacked Lu Ming. Among these young men, 3 of them had reached the Great Saint realm. They were all terrifying sky prides with powerful combat strength. Now that they joined forces, their power was shocking. Boom! 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 At the same time, there was a burst of terrifying aura in the surroundings of the main hall. Then, many figures dashed out in a frenzy and charged toward Lu Ming. "Attack!" Long Chen shouted and rushed out to the right. His body swelled up, especially his arms, which swelled several times. He threw out dozens of punches in a row. The space shook violently, and the terrifying fist force blasted toward those experts. These experts were almost all experts in the Great Saint realm, and there were more than a dozen of them. However, Long Chen had broken through to the Great Saint realm. With his spiritual body and force law, his combat strength was amazing. For a moment he blocked more than a dozen experts. At the same time, Huang Ling rushed to the left. She was bathed in the undying flame. A huge phoenix was formed and rushed toward those experts. For a moment they were blocked. However, there were more experts in front. There were more than a dozen of them, and they were all old men. Some of them had snow-white hair, and their aura was shocking. Among them, there were experts in the peak of the Great Saint realm, and even complete Great Saint realm. "Leave it to me, brother Lu Ming." Bubble flew out. Then, she took a deep breath and exhaled. Beep beep beep. Bubble spat out transparent bubbles from her small mouth and flew out. Those old men were all covered by the transparent bubbles. What's going on?" An old man shouted in horror. His body, which was already extremely old, was aging rapidly. The white hair on his head began to fall off, and his skin began to become dry and wrinkled. Then the blood in their bodies began to weaken. "Time law, it's the time law. Time is passing quickly." An old man shouted and struggled frantically. After Bubble had broken through to the Great Saint realm, her time law was even more terrifying. She could even accelerate the flow of time or reverse time. Hiss! Next, Bubble waved her small hand, and ripples appeared in space, forming a terrifying spatial blade that slashed out. Suddenly, the bodies of the old men were split apart, and they fell on the spot. At the same time, Lu Ming also attacked. He pointed out a finger, and the chaotic calamity finger burst out. A huge finger pointed at Wan Pingyang. In the past few months, Lu Ming's chaotic calamity finger had improved again. It had reached 53%. At this time, it was fully unleashed, and its power was terrifying. The sacred weapons that enveloped Wan Pingyang's body were all sent flying. His body was directly blocked by the chaotic calamity finger, and he crashed into the wall of the main hall. The wall exploded, and Wan Pingyang fell to the ground like a pile of mud. He was already half dead. Chapter 1795. After using the primal chaos tribulation finger, Lu Ming dashed out, brandishing his combat sword continuously. Boom! Boom! The attacks from the other youths were all blocked by Lu Ming. Dong! Dong! Then, Lu Ming stomped his feet on the ground, and countless runes spread toward Su Tuo and the others, forming a terrifying sealing force to seal them. Kill! Lu Ming hollered, and the divine sword art erupted. Some of the young men with weaker cultivation levels screamed miserably. Lu Ming held his sword and dashed out. Suddenly, 5 to 6 youths were killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming, you're courting death. An old man roared in anger. Lu Ming was so bold that he dared to make a move in the myriad spirit exchange and kill the youths of the 4 major forces. He was simply lawless. At the scene, the others were also incomparably shocked. Even more people rushed outside to avoid being affected by the shockwaves. How dare you hurt my family and friends? I'll kill all of you. Lu Ming roared. Today he would kill all of these youths. Poof! With a slash of his sword, another 2 youths were killed and died on the spot. Those who were below the Supreme Sage level were no match for him. They could not even block one of his attacks. Death was the only way out for them. Retreat, retreat. At this time, Su Tuo and another Supreme Sage were scared. Their faces were pale as they frantically retreated. Lu Ming was simply a madman. You can't escape. Lu Ming struck out with his palm and controlled the array law. Endless runes formed a huge rune scroll and directly covered one of the Supreme Sage prodigies. The prodigy struggled frantically, but what awaited him was Lu Ming's chaotic calamity finger. A huge finger exuded destructive fluctuations and pointed at the man. No! The man screamed in despair. But he was sealed by the array law and could not use much of his strength. When the chaotic calamity finger touched him, he screamed and his body was torn apart. A great saint-level genius had died just like that. Such a genius, even among the younger generation of the ancient Moon Holy Ground, was a top existence. He was high and mighty, looking down on his peers. In the future, he was destined to become an emperor, immortal and indestructible. Now, he was killed by Lu Ming just like that. Damn it! A few old men roared in anger. That genius was from one of their powers. Lu Ming's eyes were cold and indifferent. He stared at Su Tuo and his forehead lit up. The Taiji disc flew out, and a huge Taiji diagram appeared, covering the entire hall. However, Su Tuo was determined to escape. Just as he was about to leave the hall, a transparent bubble suddenly appeared and enveloped him. Don't kill me! Su Tuo howled in despair as he reverted to his original form, a purple wolf god. Weren't you very arrogant before, insulting my senior sister? Now where did your arrogance go? Kill! As soon as Lu Ming spoke, the Taiji diagram transformed into a yin-yang fish sword that slashed out, killing Su Tuo on the spot. The second great sage prodigy had been killed. Who dares to cause trouble at the Thousand Spirit Exchange? At that moment, a long howl came from afar. The sound was so loud that it reached the clouds. It's the Absolute Saint. The Absolute Saint is here. Kid, you're dead meat. Someone shouted. Wan Pingyang, who was severely injured, had hope in his eyes. Of course, there was also a crazy murderous intent. However, in the next moment he was terrified. This was because Lu Ming was also looking at him. He took a step forward and appeared in front of him. What are you doing? The Absolute Saint is here. Why don't you surrender? Wan Pingyang roared. It won't be too late to leave after I kill you. Lu Ming attacked coldly and swung his sword. Slash. The sword slashed down, and Wan Pingyang was split into 2. His soul was destroyed. His eyes were still wide open, filled with unwillingness. The Absolute Saint was here, but Lu Ming still wanted to kill him. He had seen hope, but it instantly turned into despair. Ah! The elders screamed. They had lost too much today. Almost all of the geniuses of the 4 forces were killed by Lu Ming. You're courting death. The Absolute Saint was extremely fast. He arrived in an instant. He scanned the hall with his spiritual consciousness and saw everything that happened. He was furious. Huang Ling Longchen, let's go. Lu Ming bellowed. He soared into the sky and dashed toward the top of the main hall. With a slash of his sword, the roof of the main hall was directly slashed open. Huang Ling, Long Chun, and Bubbles followed behind Lu Ming and rushed out. "Where do you think you're going?" the elders in the hall shouted and chased after Lu Ming. "Stay." That absolute saint slammed his palm toward them from a distance away. A terrifying palm print covered the sky, and was about to blast Lu Ming and the rest to death. "Open!" At this moment, Bubbles shouted and a space-time passageway was opened. The four of them rushed into the space-time passageway and disappeared. The next moment, the palm print struck and the space-time passageway collapsed. However, the four of them had already appeared tens of thousands of miles away. Then, the bubble opened another space-time passageway. The four of them rushed in and disappeared. "Damn it! It's the space-time laws." An elder appeared in the sky with a flash of light. His eyes were extremely cold. Whoosh! Whoosh! Then, a few more figures rushed over from other directions in the Thousand Spirit Exchange. They were all absolute saints with powerful auras. The absolute saints rushed into the hall with gloomy faces. They looked around, and their faces were so dark that it was about to bleed. The entire hall was in a mess. More than a dozen supreme saints had died. More importantly, more than a dozen young geniuses had died here. It was a huge loss. One of the absolute saints went to Wan Tianbing. Wan Tianbing wasn't dead, but he had become an idiot. Report to the family. Send out experts. Even if we have to turn the ancient moon's sacred ground upside down, we have to find Lu Ming. An angry roar resounded throughout the entire Thousand Spirit Exchanges. Many people knew that a storm was coming. At this moment, Lu Ming, Huang Ling, Long Chun, and Bubbles were hundreds of thousands of miles away. Only then did everyone stop. "Lu Ming, you've killed so many geniuses from the four forces this time, and caused a huge commotion in the Thousand Spirit Exchanges. I'm afraid the four forces won't let this go." Huang Ling looked worried. "Lu Ming, come with me to the Divine Elephant Sect," Long Chun said. "Phoenix Palace is fine too," Huang Ling said. Lu Ming shook his head. "Let's split up. I'll go alone." "No way. The four forces will definitely send many experts to hunt you down. They might even send emperors. It's too dangerous for you to go alone." Huang Ling's expression changed. She looked anxious. "If I were to go with you to Phoenix Palace or the Divine Elephant Sect, would Phoenix Palace or the Divine Elephant Sect risk offending the four major factions and start a war with them to protect me?" Lu Ming asked. Chapter 1796. Each of the four major forces was extremely powerful and had an unfathomable foundation. How terrifying would it be if they joined forces? No one would dare to say that they could stop them alone. Would Phoenix Palace or Divine Elephant Sect risk war with the four major forces to protect Lu Ming? The answer was probably no. After all, Huang Ling and Long Chun were just juniors. They could not represent the upper echelons of Phoenix Palace and Divine Elephant Sect. Would they protect Lu Ming and take the risk of starting a war with the four forces? This time, the two of you did not kill anyone. The four major forces have no reason to deal with you. Go back first. I killed him, so they can only look for me. But don't worry. I have a way to avoid the four major forces' pursuit. Lu Ming said. He had the divine breath technique. Unless an emperor-level expert stood in front of him and carefully identified him, no one would be able to recognize him. But it's still too dangerous. Huang Ling was still worried. Go quickly. If you're late, they will catch up. I'll go first. After saying that, Lu Ming's figure flashed and he quickly flew away. Then he asked Bubbles to open a space-time tunnel and left. Huang Ling and Long Chun had no choice but to return to their respective sections. Lu Ming and Bubbles did not fly for long before they stopped. Bubbles, go into the mountain river diagram. Lu Ming said. Brother Lu Ming, you have to be careful. Chirp chirp. Bubbles chirped and then entered the mountain river diagram. Lu Ming's body and appearance began to change. In the end, he turned into a dark-skinned young man. Even his aura changed, and he became a completely different person. The divine breath technique was very similar to the illusion technique, but it was more powerful and mysterious. After changing his appearance, Lu Ming changed his direction and flew towards the Myriad Spirit Exchange. That's right, he wanted to return to the Myriad Spirit Exchange. The most dangerous place was the safest place. The four major forces would never expect Lu Ming to return to the Myriad Spirit Exchange. Moreover, there were many people in the Myriad Spirit Exchange. If he mixed in with the crowd, they would not be able to find him. At this time, angry voices came from the Wan family, Skybird Palace, Skywolf Tower, and Purple Extreme Sect. Lock down the ancient Moon Holy Land and find Lu Ming. Following that, countless terrifying existences stepped out from the four forces and flew towards the ancient Moon Holy Ground in all directions. There were even Emperor-level experts. At this moment, the ancient Moon Holy Ground was in an uproar. The four forces were enraged. The ancient Moon Holy Ground was going to be shaken. News of what had happened at the Thousand Spirit Exchange quickly spread throughout the entire ancient Moon Holy Land at a terrifying speed. Countless people were shocked by Lu Ming's courage. In the Myriad Spirit Exchange established by the four major forces, he had killed more than a dozen geniuses from the four major forces, including more than a dozen great sages. This was simply audacious. It would be strange if the four major forces were not enraged. Just as the experts from the four forces were rushing out, Lu Ming had already returned to the Myriad Spirit Exchange. He swaggered down the street. No one knew that this was the Lu Ming who had caused the Guyu storm. No one would have thought that Lu Ming would actually come back. Lu Ming found an inn to stay in, then entered his room, and entered the mountain and river diagram. On a mountain peak, Xuaningxin was sitting there. Senior sister. Lu Ming came to Xuaningxin's side. Junior brother. Xuaningxin's eyes lit up when she saw Lu Ming. Then she looked worried and said, Junior brother, you're too impulsive. You barely escaped from the Tsang continent, and now you're in danger. It's okay. They can't find me. Senior sister, are your injuries okay? Lu Ming asked. There were whip marks on Xuaningxin's body. Obviously she had suffered some pain. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold again. It's okay. It's just some superficial wounds. Xuaningxin shook her head. Senior sister, I'll help you remove these seals first. Lu Ming said. Then, dense runes appeared in his palm and covered a ring on Xuaningxin's wrist. This ring was made with special materials and techniques. It could seal a person's cultivation. It was very magical. However, Lu Ming's array formation could seal some of it. First, he could reverse the seal on the ring. Then it would be much easier to remove it. Then, he removed the other rings on Xuaningxin's body one by one. As soon as the rings were removed, Xuaningxin's cultivation recovered. As soon as her cultivation recovered, her injuries healed quickly. A moment later, the injuries on Xuaningxin's body disappeared. Senior sister, what's going on? How did you get caught by the four factions? Lu Ming asked a series of questions. He had heard from Zifeng that the Ice Dragon Valley Master had escaped with Xiang Xiang, Tian Shui, and Xuaningxin. Now that Xuaningxin was caught, what about Xiang Xiang and the others? Lu Ming couldn't help but worry. Back then, when the evil spirit sect attacked the Dragon God Valley, the Ice Dragon Valley Master saw the opportunity and rushed out with me, Tian Shui, and Xiang Xiang. However, we were still discovered by the evil spirit sect. They chased us all the way until we escaped into the Cloud Sea mountain range. Unfortunately, we were unlucky and encountered a powerful beast in the Cloud Sea mountain range. Later, I was separated from the Valley Master and the others. I rushed out of the Cloud Sea mountain range on my own. I wanted to ask for help from a powerful force in the ancient Moon Holy Land, but I didn't expect to run into people from the Thousand Spirit Exchange before I even reached the ancient Moon Holy Land. They captured me the moment they saw me and brought me here to be sold as a slave. Xuaningxin explained. The four factions. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Xuaningxin must have suffered a lot during this period. I wonder how Xiang Xiang and the others are doing. Where did they go? Lu Ming was still a little worried. Then, Lu Ming and Xuaningxin chatted for a while before letting Xuaningxin have a good rest. He then left the mountain river diagram. After leaving the mountain river diagram, Lu Ming went to a restaurant. He ordered some wine and dishes and asked around. As expected, the entire Thousand Spirit Exchange was talking about Lu Ming. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In the sky, a figure whizzed past, bringing with it a terrifying gust of wind. The four factions really made a big move. That's for sure. Lu Ming killed more than a dozen of the four factions' geniuses, and made a scene in the exchange. This is a slap in the faces of the four factions. It would be strange if they didn't go crazy. That's right. They were bullied to this extent by a junior. If they don't take down Lu Ming, how can they survive in the ancient moon's sacred ground in the future? Speaking of which, this Lu Ming is really daring. I'm afraid he's in danger this time. With an emperor-level expert here, he has nowhere to run. Even Phoenix Palace can't protect him. Lu Ming heard a lot of discussions in the restaurant. Buzz. At this time, a terrifying fluctuation came from the sky. An extremely terrifying aura spread from the sky, as if an entire world was pressing down. Everyone's face changed drastically. An emperor-level expert. Chapter 1797. The pressure in the sky came crashing down like waves, causing everyone's faces to change color. It was the emperor's aura, the suppression of a martial emperor. Lu Ming's expression was grave. He used his divine breathing technique with all his might, but his original aura did not leak out at all. In the next moment, he felt a terrifying spiritual sense sweep over his body. However, it didn't stop and swept to other places in the next moment. Lu Ming relaxed. It seemed that the emperor-level powerhouse did not recognize him. There were so many people in the Thousand Spirit Exchange. The emperor-level powerhouse could not see through his divine breathing technique at all. In the sky, a figure stood quietly. Countless people in the Thousand Spirit Exchange looked up, but they could not see the person's face clearly. It was as if there was a world around him that blocked their vision. At that moment, the person frowned and retracted his spiritual consciousness. He muttered, "It seems that he's not here." As soon as he said that, the figure disappeared. The terrifying pressure also disappeared. Everyone in the Thousand Spirit Exchange felt relieved. A martial emperor was too powerful. Even the lowest martial emperor was terrifying. Their lifespan was endless, and they had the power to destroy the world. With a thought, millions of corpses would fall and blood would flow for thousands of miles. As expected, even an emperor-level powerhouse has been mobilized. Lu Ming can't escape. Do you think Lu Ming is hiding in the Phoenix Palace, or the Divine Elephant Sect? It's useless even if he's hiding in the Phoenix Palace, or the Divine Elephant Sect. Those two sects can't protect him. As soon as the emperor-level powerhouse left, the crowd began to discuss again. However, Lu Ming only ate and drank quietly. Soon he returned to his room. At that moment, outside the Phoenix Palace, several terrifying figures descended. Each figure exuded a terrifying aura. It was the Emperor's aura. Several Emperor-level powerhouses had descended upon the Phoenix Palace at the same time. Emperor-level powerhouses. Almost everyone in the Phoenix Palace was alarmed. One figure after another flew out and looked at the Emperor-level powerhouses in the sky. Their expressions were grave. "I wonder what brings you all to the Phoenix Palace at the same time?" A voice was heard. Then, a woman in palace robes stepped out and appeared in the sky above the Phoenix Palace. This person was the Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace. "Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace, we're here for a person. Please hand over Lu Ming." In the sky, one of them spoke. This person's aura was extremely sharp. In the air. "Lu Ming is not in the Phoenix Palace. Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace. Not here. Phoenix Palace Master, don't cover up for Lu Ming. Even if you do, you won't be able to." This person was an emperor-level powerhouse. "I have already said that Lu Ming is not in Phoenix Palace. I can use my name as the Lord of Phoenix Palace as a guarantee." In the sky, several powerful existences frowned. Since Phoenix Palace Master said so, Lu Ming was most likely not around. The Wan clan's martial emperor said coldly. "What a joke." Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace's voice turned cold. "Huang Ling did not kill the people of the four major forces. What does that have to do with her?" "Of course. She helped Lu Ming. to kill the people of the four major forces. Otherwise, how could Lu Ming do it alone? She must pay the price. She must be buried with the people of the four major forces. The martial emperor from the Wang clan spoke again. His voice was filled with killing intent. What a joke. I have already investigated the matter. The reason why Huang Ling took action, then, was because the seniors of the four forces attacked them. That was why she took action to protect herself. Countless people in the myriad spirit exchange saw this matter. Under such circumstances, if she did not take action, would she have allowed them to kill her? Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace said. Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace, are you not going to hand her over? The martial emperor from the Wan clan said coldly. No. If you want to start a war with the Phoenix Palace because of this, I'll gladly oblige. Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace was very domineering. The few martial emperors in the sky frowned. At that time, it was true that the seniors had attacked first. Huang Ling and the others had fought back. However, Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace had said that Huang Ling had defended herself. Most importantly, Huang Ling did not kill the people of the four major forces. If they started a war with the Phoenix Palace, because of this, the other forces might intervene. This was because the Phoenix Palace had a good relationship with other forces. However, if Lu Ming was here and the Phoenix Palace still protected Lu Ming, they would have a reason to take action. The other forces would not be able to interfere. In fact, Lu Ming had already seen through this, and that was why he had not come to the Phoenix Palace. Where's Huang Ling? Ask her to come out. I want to ask her about Lu Ming. The martial emperor from the Wan clan said coldly. I'm here. Huang Ling stepped out and stood in the sky. Swoosh. The martial emperors of the Wan clan and Sky Wolf Pagoda looked at Huang Ling. A terrifying pressure pressed down on Huang Ling. Her expression changed and she retreated. She almost vomited blood. Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace waved her hand. An array of energy landed on Huang Ling, isolating her from the pressure. Speak. Where is Lu Ming? The martial emperor of the Wan clan said firmly. I don't know. Huang Ling shook her head. If you don't know, how dare you lie? The martial emperor of the Wan clan shouted. His voice was deafening and the heavens and earth rumbled. Huang Ling's face turned pale. However, she stubbornly raised her head and said, I don't know. After Lu Ming and I came out of the Thousand Spirit Exchange, we parted ways. With Lu Ming's intelligence, he naturally knew that it was useless to come to the Phoenix Palace. Therefore, he left alone. I don't believe you. I'll search your soul to confirm it. The martial emperor of the Wan clan said coldly. He then raised his hand, and a huge hand grabbed at Huang Ling. The hand was like an entire world, and there was no way to avoid it. Enough! Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace waved her hand. A phoenix flew out and destroyed the huge hand. An emperor attacking a junior disciple. How shameful. If you want to fight, I'll accompany you. Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace said. At the same time, a few more terrifying auras rushed out from the Phoenix Palace. The martial emperors of the Wan clan, Sky Wolf Pagoda, and Sky Bird Palace frowned and looked at each other. I hope you're telling the truth. Otherwise, we'll fight the Phoenix Palace. The martial emperor of the Wan clan said. He then turned around and disappeared into the sky. Then the other martial emperors also disappeared. Let's return to the mountain. Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace looked solemn as she brought Huang Ling back to the Phoenix Palace. The same scene played out in the Divine Elephant Sect. However, the Divine Elephant Sect was even more domineering. Long Chen's master was a terrifying existence. He sent a martial emperor flying with a slap. The elites of the four major forces had no choice but to retreat. Lu Ming was not in the Divine Elephant Sect, so they could not attack. Chapter 1798. Time passed and another month passed. During this month, the ancient moon sacred land was in turmoil. The experts of the four forces searched everywhere. But Lu Ming seemed to have disappeared into thin air. No matter how hard the four forces searched, they couldn't find anything. After a month, the four forces finally quieted down. They seemed to know that it was useless to continue searching like this. Lu Ming, on the other hand, swaggered around the Thousand Spirit Exchange to cultivate. When he was free, he would go shopping and buy some treasures. He was living a carefree life. I still haven't broken through to the Supreme Saint level, but I should be soon. I feel like I'm about to reach the limit of the Bright Saint level. When the time is right, I'll be able to break through naturally. Lu Ming strolled around a street, then bought some spiritual herbs and dragon bones. During this time, he bought some absolute saint dragon bones and dragon blood in the 1,000 spirit exchange. However, after refining them, his spirit body didn't evolve. It was too difficult for a mid-level heaven spirit body to evolve into an upper-level heaven spirit body. After all, the upper-level heaven spirit body was the highest level of spirit body. Lu Ming bought some things and returned to the inn to continue cultivating. In the blink of an eye, another month passed. In the mountain river diagram, Lu Ming sat cross-legged on the enlightenment ancient tree. At this moment, dragon roars came from his body, and saint power gushed out like a pillar, shooting into the sky. In his dantian, the two saint hearts spun wildly, and endless saint power gushed out. Boom! Lu Ming's aura suddenly skyrocketed. He had broken through to the Supreme Saint level. At this moment, Lu Ming waved his hand, and a large pile of upper-level origin stones appeared. Devour! Lu Ming unleashed his devouring power and began to devour the energy of the origin stones and refine them. Lu Ming's body was like a black hole. An endless origin chi poured into Lu Ming's body, turning into his saint power. Lu Ming's saint power grew stronger and stronger, and the two saint hearts became fuller and clearer. The aura they emitted also grew stronger. After a few hours, Lu Ming finally stopped devouring the primordial aura. His aura then stabilized. I've finally broken through to the great saint realm. Lu Ming opened his eyes, revealing a faint smile. After breaking through to the great saint realm, his strength had skyrocketed. If he were to fight against Wan Pingyang and Su Ta now, he would be able to kill them with a single slap. There was no need for him to use the chaotic tribulation finger. Now that I've broken through to the great sage realm, I should go out and take a look at the situation outside. Lu Ming pondered. In order to break through to a new realm, it was impossible to blindly go into seclusion. One still needed to gain experience in order to advance to the next level. Lu Ming exited the mountain and river diagram and headed outside. However, the moment Lu Ming went out, he realized that something was amiss. Many people were flying out of the myriad spirit exchange. There were a large number of people entering and exiting the 1,000 spirit exchange every day, but it was rare to see so many people flying out together. Uncle, what happened? Lu Ming stopped a yellow-faced man in his 50s and asked with a simple and honest smile. Little brother, you still don't know, right? The ancient Great Pill Evolution Hall has appeared. The yellow-faced man said. Great Pill Evolution Hall? Lu Ming was confused. You don't know. The yellow-faced man said. Uncle, I just came to the ancient Moon Holy Land not long ago, so I haven't heard of the Great Pill Evolution Hall. Why don't I go with you, and you can tell me about it? Lu Ming said naively. That's fine too. Come with me, we'll talk as we walk. The yellow-faced man said. At that moment, the two of them soared into the sky and followed the crowd, flying in a direction. On the way, the yellow-faced man also explained. In ancient times, the ancient Moon Holy Land had a sect that was famous throughout the entire Yuan Mountain. This sect was the Great Pill Evolution Hall. The Great Pill Evolution Hall was so famous not because of its strength, but because of its alchemy skills. According to legend, the Great Pill Evolution Hall was passed down to a single disciple. However, its alchemy skills were the best of the world. The Great Pill Evolution Hall's Great Pill Evolution scripture, coupled with the Great Pill Evolution furnace, could refine all kinds of pills. For example, it could directly condense the laws of the world and refine pills that could improve the laws. It could also refine pills that could allow the spiritual body to evolve. This alchemy skill could be said to be incredible. However, in ancient times, the Great Pill Evolution Hall suddenly disappeared in a day. Even the mountain gate of the Great Pill Evolution Hall disappeared. Countless powerful forces and experts almost turned the entire ancient Moon Holy Land upside down, but they still could not find the Great Pill Evolution Hall. Later generations had countless guesses, as to why the Great Pill Evolution Hall disappeared without a trace overnight. Some people said that a supreme expert coveted the Great Pill Evolution Hall's inheritance and destroyed the Great Pill Evolution Hall, seizing the Great Pill Evolution Scripture and Great Pill Evolution Furnace. However, many people did not believe this saying. Although the Great Pill Evolution Hall was passed down to a single disciple, each generation of people was a top genius in the world. When each generation grew up, their strength was extremely terrifying. It was not that easy to destroy the Great Pill Evolution Hall. There was another saying that the Great Pill Evolution Hall had too few people, and in the end, its inheritance was lost, so it automatically went into seclusion. In any case, there were different opinions, and there was no unified answer. However, the Great Pill Evolution Scripture, the alchemy skill that could seize the heavens and the earth, was lost. Recently, there was an anomaly at the old site of the Great Pill Evolution Hall, and it was suspected that the Great Pill Evolution Hall was about to appear. Countless people went there to try their luck. According to the ancient records, in a great era where geniuses came out in large numbers, kings contended for hegemony, and all kinds of ancient inheritances would appear one after another, looking for successors. Now that it was a great era, it was normal for the Great Pill Evolution Hall to appear. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. The Great Pill Evolution Scripture could directly condense the laws of heaven and earth to refine pills, and it could even refine pills that could allow the spiritual body to evolve. This alchemy skill was really heaven-defying. If a powerful force obtained it, how many geniuses would it give birth to? Lu Ming followed the yellow-faced man and flew all the way. Soon, they saw that the void in front of them was filled with people. They had arrived at the old site of the Great Pill Evolution Hall. The two of them flew into the crowd and found that everyone was looking forward. The two of them looked forward and found that there was a small hill in front of them. That small hill looked like a pill furnace, and it looked very ordinary. This is the old site of the Great Pill Evolution Hall. It looks very ordinary, and there is nothing special about it. Why is it attracting so many people? Lu Ming was very surprised. It's here again. At this moment someone said, "Buzz." The small hill seemed to be shaking. Then a green halo spread out. Accompanying the halo was a fragrance. It was the fragrance of medicinal pills. What a strong fragrance of pills! Lu Ming couldn't help but take a deep breath. The fragrance of pills assailed his nostrils, and he felt refreshed and comfortable. What was even more shocking was that the hill was emitting a medicinal fragrance, and as the halo spread out, it was actually slowly growing bigger. Yes, the hill was growing bigger, and Lu Ming was definitely not mistaken. The hill is growing bigger again. Every time it emits a halo, the hill will grow bigger. Is the Great Pill Evolution Hall really going to appear? It's highly possible, but it hasn't completely appeared yet. We have to wait. Chapter 1799. Half a day later, the hill had doubled in size. It was only a few dozen meters tall before, but now it was 100 meters tall. The halo had also disappeared. After the halo disappeared, the pill fragrance also slowly faded. The Great Pill Derivation Palace is most likely under the ground. Watch me break it open. A burly man stepped out. He exuded a terrifying aura. He was a saint. Whoosh! The man's palm was like a blade. He slashed out, and a shocking blade light formed. It slashed toward the hill, trying to split it open. However, when the blade light landed on the mound, a ring of light burst out from the mound. Under this light, the blade light instantly collapsed. When the burly figure was hit by this light, his body violently trembled. He coughed up blood and retreated. His face was pale and filled with fear. "You overestimate yourself." Someone sneered. There were so many people here, and many of them were saints. There were even quasi-emperors. How could no one have tried before? However, all of them had been injured and retreated. That was why so many people were waiting here. Everyone fell into deep thought. The Great Pill Development Palace was no small matter. It seemed that it was almost impossible for external forces to break it open when it appeared on its own. "Uncle, thank you for leading the way." Lu Ming thanked the yellow-faced uncle. Then, he went to the side alone and sat cross-legged on a mountain peak. waiting quietly. As time passed, more and more people arrived. At a glance, the sky was almost filled with people. Every once in a while, the hill would emit light and grow a little bigger. Time passed, and the hill grew bigger and bigger. Half a month later, the hill became tens of thousands of meters tall. It towered into the clouds and was surrounded by clouds. It looked like a celestial mountain. From afar, it looked like an incomparably huge pill furnace standing between the heavens and the earth. And it wasn't over yet. The pill furnace mountain was still growing. It would grow bigger every day. Another half a month passed. Lu Ming had been here for a month. The alchemy furnace mountain was already hundreds of thousands of feet high. It was like a sacred mountain. A large piece of land in the surrounding area had been occupied. The pill furnace mountain isn't growing any longer. At that moment someone said, the pill furnace mountain hadn't grown in size for 3 days. Could it be that the pill furnace mountain had completely appeared? Many people stared ahead with fiery eyes. At this moment, a figure stepped out from the sky. This figure was shrouded in terrifying divine light. His appearance could not be seen clearly, but he exuded a terrifying aura. He stood high up in the sky, but it gave people the illusion that an entire world was standing there. The shocking pressure caused everyone's expression to change greatly, and even their breathing became a little difficult. Martial Emperor. Someone spoke up, his voice incomparably loud. An emperor-level figure had appeared. With the appearance of a martial emperor, how could they compete? However, this was only the beginning. Next in the sky, one figure after another appeared. These figures were all emitting divine light, as if they were gods. It was as if they were floating in the sky. Emperor-level experts, they were all emperor-level experts. An emperor-level powerhouse's Saint Heart had condensed into a small world, and possessed the power of a world. Just by standing there, it was like a world of its own. There were more than a dozen martial emperors standing in the sky, dominating the area, making people feel a terrifying pressure. However, this was not the end. The number of emperor-level experts was still increasing. In the end, more than 20 emperor-level experts had appeared. Many people were dumbfounded. How many years had it been since so many emperor-level experts had gathered? Obviously, the appearance of the Great Development Pill Hall this time had caused even the emperor-level experts to be unable to remain calm, and had personally taken action. It was likely that all the major forces in the ancient Moon Holy Land had sent emperor-level experts. Lu Ming was also secretly surprised. As expected of the ancient Moon Holy Land, more than 20 emperor-level experts had gathered. How magnificent! You guys really came out. In the sky, a strong voice echoed between heaven and earth, causing the void to rumble. Emperor-level experts had condensed a small world. Every move they made had the power of a world, which could destroy heaven and earth. Their power was unimaginable. Even if they opened their mouths to speak, if they were not suppressed, there was still a terrifying power. How can I not come when the Great Development Pill Hall has appeared? Likewise, in the sky, several voices sounded one after another. Below, the others were silent. No one dared to make a sound. The emperor-level experts had appeared. If they dared to make a sound and offended one of them, they would be killed with a slap. That would be a pity. Since you're here, why don't you make a move? The burly figure who had arrived first spoke. No hurry, someone said lightly. You guys are really cunning. You're just waiting for others to take the lead. If you're not going to make a move, I'll do it. The burly figure spoke with a faint disdain in his voice. Then, he took a step forward and rushed toward the Pill Furnace Mountain. In an instant, he rushed into the mountain and was hidden by the clouds. Buzz! At that moment, the mountain shook and a halo spread out, rushing toward the burly figure. Open up! A rumbling sound came out from the mountain. Then, a shocking sword light shot up into the sky, as if it was going to split the sky and the earth. The vast sword power caused the faces of all those below the emperor level to change drastically. In the face of such power, those below the emperor level were like ants and could be easily destroyed. This was the strength of an emperor-level expert. It's the Great Baron Sword Sex Martial Emperor. Someone whispered softly. However, the result was beyond everyone's expectations. The sword radiance that could destroy heaven and earth did not destroy the halo. The halo rushed past and the sword radiance collapsed. The sound of the sword resonated through heaven and earth. Then, a burly figure quickly retreated out of the range of the mountain. The divine light on his body trembled a little and revealed his true appearance. It was a middle-aged man with a combat sword on his back. At that moment, his face was a little pale. "There's a terrifying formation in the mountain," the middle-aged man said with a gloomy face. "Looks like you can't do it. Let me do it." A cold and arrogant voice was heard. Then, a figure shrouded in golden flames stepped out. Caw! With a cry, the figure turned into a three-legged golden crow. It was extremely huge and looked like a sun in the sky. It was an emperor-level expert from the three-legged golden crow clan. It was powerful and terrifying. The three-legged golden crow flapped its wings, and its huge figure turned into a golden light and rushed into the mountain. However, the result was the same as the great Baron Sword Sect's martial emperor. He was also sent flying by the halo. His expression was ugly, and he was extremely unhappy. Then other emperor-level experts tried, but the result was the same. They were all sent flying. I suggest that we join forces. It's difficult to go in alone. A cold voice was heard. This person was extremely terrifying and exuded an extremely sharp aura. There seemed to be countless weapons flying around his body. Each weapon exuded a terrifying power. This person was an emperor-level expert from the Wang clan. That's right. Let's join forces and break this formation. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.